connected. He picked me up from the hotel. We were going to eat dinner. We go to dinner. When he picked me up at the hotel, I'd been working all day. I'd been at this conference. When he picked me up at dinner, honestly, I started to feel a little bit queasy, a little nauseated, but I just thought, I haven't eaten. I've been working all day. I've been going hard. I'm just a little tired. I'll be okay. I probably just need to get some food in me and move on. So Rick picks me up. It's great. We drive to this restaurant, which was full of all sorts of wonderful fried foods and pizzas and all the great things that I normally would love. And I'm sitting there, and I just started feeling worse and worse and worse and worse. And I'm feeling bad because I'm really trying to listen to Rick. And he just kept talking. And I was like, and I was really interested because I'm like, man, you're stepping out. You've quit your job and you're doing all this. And I'm sure he'll share part of this story. And I'm doing this. I'm really wanting, how's this going? And he starts telling me, and he's telling me. And I'm like, I am not even hearing a word this guy's saying. So I excuse myself, go to the restroom. And I don't want to be too graphic, but have you ever been that point where you're there like, I just wish I'd throw up and get it over with? You know what I mean? And that's where I was. I was like, man, I really want to get this done. Didn't happen. So I go back in and I tell Rick, man, I'm really sorry. I feel like a total heel here. I'm going to have to ask you to take me back. Just go back to the hotel. He's like, no, that's totally cool. He was super gracious, super great. I tell this story for a very definitive point that in all of the ways that I could introduce this gentleman, the end of this story is, to me, the most appropriate. Because we go out in the parking lot, and I'm thinking, okay, he's going to take me back to the hotel. This will be totally fine. When I hit pavement, something just shot through my body, and I went, oh no. This is the point of no return. This is it. And in that moment, I don't know what would go through your mind, but I quickly contemplated every option, which was, okay, the bathroom's like a mile that way inside this building, so I can go try to make it, and probably land somewhere in the middle of the restaurant. I was like, I can try to hold it in which case I'm going to be in Rick's truck. Rick's a really nice guy, but that's also a really nice truck. So my third option, which was very quick, was there were some bushes right here in this parking lot. So I ran over to the bushes very quickly, and I started vomiting, and I did not stop. And I just kept going. And I'm there, and I'm embarrassed. I feel sick. I feel awful. I'm embarrassed. I mean, honestly, embarrassed. I don't get very often, but embarrassment was like the premier emotion. I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this is happening. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I felt a hand on my shoulder. And I got to be honest, I don't want to be sappy, but I was like, thank you. Thank you so much, Rick. Because I'm like, throwing up that, thank you. And then a little single napkin came around my shoulder. And I said, what the heck am I supposed to do with this little thing? No, I'm just kidding. But in all sincerity, it was very sweet. And I just needed, no words were spoken. He didn't even say anything, but he let me know, hey, it's okay. You can't help it. I'm your friend. I'm here for you. Whatever you need, I got your back right here. I'm just here. He just let me know I'm here. I'm here. Now, I don't know if you've had the privilege of tagging him on Facebook. If you haven't, please friend him right now. Take time to get your phone out. Find Rick Theule. Post anything. It doesn't matter what. One of those with a popular thing. Tag a pickle, tag a donut, whatever those dumb pictures are that are floating around. Yeah. Tag Theule.
Fried pickle.
Nice. Whatever it is. I don't know if you've had the privilege, but in the few wonderful encounters that I've had with Rick, the best way that I can describe him would not be through reading some bio, but to say this. I know that he is a husband. I know that he is a father. I know that he is a follower of Christ. And in all these things, he is 100% authentically genuine him. And in the same way, he has become not just an acquaintance and not just someone who's a fellow dreamer, builder, or someone who's launching out, but to many of us in this room, he is honestly a friend. And in that moment, when he touched my shoulder, he went from a guy that I knew on the internet that was pretty all right to my genuine friend who I know would have me back online or in person. And so it's my privilege to introduce him to you right now. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Rick Theule. Are you going to hug me? Oh. Power in that hug.
He's going to make me cry, so. Hey, I am here today because of people like Jared and of people like you. And I'm proud to stand up here. I am here because a few years ago I listened to something. And most importantly, I'm here right now because last summer I was paying attention and I listened to God. The song that was playing, there's some key words in there for me. I lay me down, I'm not my own. I belong to you alone. I had to let go of my pride. For 18 years, I worked in a job that I absolutely loved. And I was good at. Very good. To the tune of making a lot of money. And it was starting to be taken away from me, and I did not know why. But I started listening to God. And it came down to I had to lay down my pride. I had to listen. I had to listen to a lot of things. And there's a lot of noise out there when you listen. Who do you guys listen to every day? Name some people. Who do you listen to? Clay Shaver. Who in your life at home do you listen to? Eller. Kids? Husband, wife, spouse? Okay, does it get a little noisy? There's a lot of things. I want to use in trouble, I think, tonight. Okay? There's a lot of noise. It's hard to listen. You may think you're listening. You may think you know what's going on. You may think you know what is coming into your ears. And sometimes you do, enough to get by. I had to slow myself down. I had to start listening in a different way. Things were being taken away from me. This job that I loved was being taken away from me. I didn't like that. So I needed to listen. I prayed. I read the Bible. I went to counseling. I went to a lot of counseling. A ton. And I read. I read a lot of books. I read a ton of books. I'm a really slow reader, so it could be more books, but when I read a book, I take notes. Because there's something in that book. Most of the books I pick, I know there's probably something in there I need to get out of that book. So I take notes, and I've got them later. So I can listen to them, because I do repeat them back as I'm typing them back in. I write in a journal. As I'm typing them in the computer later, a month or two later, I say them out loud, because there's something important in there. But what I found is the most important thing for me to learn how to obey and to learn how to listen was to be silent. Extremely silent. This took me forever to learn, and I'm still not the greatest at it. Today, in fact, I had a problem being silent and listening to what God had for me. Last summer, well, not even last summer, last spring, about a year ago right now, while I was trying to practice being silent, I heard from God in a way that I just can't describe. I mean, there was no audible voice. Sitting at my desk at work, and I had to leave. I knew I had to leave. I had to leave and go somewhere and pray. I had to be by myself, and I had to be silent. I had no idea what was going on at the time, other than I had been reading, I had been praying, I had been in counseling, I had been trying to pay attention. And suddenly I was hearing. I was hearing what I was trying to listen for. So the challenge was I going to obey? Well, I got to go to lunch. Well, what if a customer comes in? I can't just leave work. Well, I could, because they didn't need me. They really didn't need me. I needed to be there more than they needed me. So I left. I found somewhere to go in my truck, and I was alone by myself. Do I turn music on? What am I supposed to do? Nope, just sit in the truck somewhere where I knew I was not going to be bothered, and I just sat there. I tried to pray. I couldn't. So I just sat silently, and I tried to listen. I was trying to be obedient. And God made it very clear to me that I needed to make a change. Changes had been forced on me 2 years earlier, so 3 years ago now. This time, I needed to make the change. I needed to take that step and step out and do what God wanted me to do. I needed to obey. He had told me that repeatedly, multiple times, kept saying it to me. You need to obey. Here's what I have for you. You need to obey. There was too much noise. My wife's a full-time RN. I've got 2 kids. At the time, one was a senior in high school, the other one was a freshman in high school. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff. I wasn't listening. I was upset about my job. Things were being taken away from me there. That was keeping me from listening. But finally he got through to me and told me, do this. So I went and obeyed, and I listened. Magical things happen when you listen, when you follow your bliss, when you take a leap, when you obey. I spent the next few months listening and obeying and doing things I was being told to do. And on January 4, after 2 weeks of vacation, I walked back into my job on the Monday after New Year's Day, sat in a sales meeting for 30 minutes, and when it was over, I quit. Because I was not supposed to be there. I was absolutely not supposed to be there. Now, some people, including my mother, probably my dad too, but he's like, yeah, it'll work out. Thought I was nuts. Because on that day, I quit a job that brought in becoming meager but still steady income. But also that week, this was Monday, on Wednesday, my wife, the RN, was starting grad school. She's going to be a nurse practitioner in August of next year when she is finished. That's awesome. This has been her dream for a long time. I kind of butted in on her dream. But we talked about it. I didn't just quit without talking to her. No. My parents live a block away. I probably would have been at their house. But I quit. She was cutting back from 40 hours a week to 30 hours a week, which 6 weeks ago turned into 20 hours a week. That's a whole nother level of obeying. So we went from 2 full-time jobs to basically a part-time job. That's nuts. That is absolutely nuts. I have bills to pay. I have a mortgage payment. My kids go to a private school. There's tuition to pay. One of them is going to be going to college. There's money to pay there. That is absolutely nuts. But we were at total peace about the decision because we knew that I was obeying what I was supposed to be doing. And in that obedience, I get to stand on the stage and talk to you guys. What I want you to do when you leave here, next week, next month, ask yourself, think about things. Are you listening? Are you obeying? Are you willing to obey what God is calling you to do? You may think you know what God is calling you to do, but sit still and listen. pay very close attention. Listen to the people around you. A lot of times the people around you are already telling you what you're supposed to be doing. God's using them to say, hey, go do that. You should be doing this. You should take that job with that university. You should do a Facebook Live video. You should tell people to have coffee with you every single morning. It may help some people get out of bed. You have to make yourself listen. You have to pay attention to what's going on in your brain. Clear things out. Take time. It may not show up right away. It may be there and you're not paying attention. I do not recommend stepping out with no income. We had a plan in place. My wife and I decided on a month before I quit, we said, okay, this makes sense. We're going to do this. We made sure there was enough money in place for a certain period of time so that it could work. Now that my wife is in school, I am in charge of everything in our house. I am in charge of the groceries. I am in charge of making sure my high school sophomore son gets to his soccer practice, does his homework. I'm in charge of the groceries. I hate grocery shopping. There's people who will do it for me, but I don't have any money to pay them. I'm in charge of paying the bills. I hate looking at my bank account now because it only goes down. Eventually it will go up. I trust that it will go up again at some point. But I can trust in that because I was listening and I finally decided to obey. Find me there. Jared said you can tag me. Now you know where to find me. I want to invite you to follow me on this journey. I have been hiding from this calling for years. More years than I knew about. I wasn't paying attention. I was not obeying. But I am now. I work full-time out of my house. Every single day I go down to my office and I try to create what He has called me to create. I even have a little crutch off to the side, just in case what He has called me to create isn't working. Now that crutch isn't working right now either. So I have to be obedient to what He has called me to do. I have to listen and just plain get on with it and go where He wants me to go. Thanks.